Ridley Scott's the George Lucas of the Alien franchise. You start off so good, brilliantly directed that first film, and everything you've contributed since then has taken away from it. And my fear is, because they're going to make another one. This movie is a success, commercially and for the most part critically. Although there is some divisiveness over the things I brought up. I'm not alone. But my fear is that Ridley Scott's going to worm his way. He's going to worm in more Prometheus and Covenant stuff, and I'm very concerned about that. Maybe they won't. I don't know. Maybe they won't. Maybe because there is backlash and people don't like these scenes. At least a lot of people don't like them, but... Okay, guys, so from this point on, I am going to be going into spoilers for Alien Romulus. All right, the latest film in cinemas right now. Did very well over the weekend. Made like, $40+ million here domestically in the United States. Made another like 60+ internationally. $100 million debut. Pretty good. Reasonable budget of, I want to say, between like 70, 80 million. So it looks like it's going to be quite the success. At least for the month of August. You know, I don't think it's going to have much competition for this week. Got The Crow. Not looking forward to that. But I did my review for Alien Romulus last Friday. And just to briefly share my overall thoughts on the film again, you know, I went in the movie, when it was first announced that Fede Alvarez was going to direct the film, I'll admit I was concerned because I'm not the biggest fan of him. I think he's a fantastic technical director, visual director. He's got an eye. He knows how to compose a shot. He knows how to make, the various aesthetics of his movies look fantastic. Lighting, wonderful. But I don't think he's a particularly good writer or storyteller. I think he is slavish to fan service to a necessary degree. And I think he underwrites his characters, right? And I think that is present in his Evil Dead remake and it's present in Don't Breathe. However, when we first started getting the trailers for Alien Romulus these last couple of months, and there was a lot of marketing for this movie. I avoided most of it. I only watched the first two trailers. I watched the initial teaser trailer and the official trailer that's like in front of movies and theaters and things. And I was very impressed. He seemed to be grasping the aesthetic of the Alien franchise from the first two movies quite well. I was like, oh, I'm liking this, And that's on full display in the actual movie itself. I think this movie has a great first half. A wonderful first half that brings back the aesthetics of the original two Alien films. This lived-in, almost dystopian universe. Just the grease and the grime of it all. It's not a bright and shining future. Like everyone's smoking. The cigarette smoke is permeating through the walls. Everything's brown and gray and yellowed over. It was great. It was great. And the first half, all that's on full display. He captured that so well. He made it look even scarier and worse. Like the movie starts at this colony. I think it's called the Jackson Star Colony. And we're introduced to the characters of Rain and Andy, right? And they're pretty much brother and sister. Rain, is similar. Some, more critical, maybe say derivative of Ellen Ripley. But I liked her character. I like that, her parents had died due to the conditions on this mining world, and her only companion, her only friend is her brother, Andy. Or she views him as a brother. He's actually an android, a malfunctioning android, played by David Johnson, who I think is the standout of this entire film. I don't know if I've ever seen him anything else. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I have. He gives the best performance in the movie. And we've got a lot of great androids across the franchise. Obviously, with Ian Holmes, Ash, and, Lance Henriksen's Bishop, great. But Andy, he stands on his own. He's wonderful. It's multifaceted performance because at first I didn't even know he was an android. I forgot he was an android initially. People I think maybe have told me before, but I forgot. And I guess in the trailers you can spot something. I think to do with his eyes, but I just didn't pick up on it. And at first I thought he was like a special needs person, just the way he was acting and how he was very socially awkward. He's actually malfunctioning. He's malfunctioning because he's an older android model. And due to just, their circumstances, Kaylee Spaney's Rain, they look out for each other, but she really cares for him. It's like really the only family she has left. And I thought the relationship was kind of the heart of the movie. He's really the heart of the movie. And his character expands, becomes more multifaceted when he gets a bit of an upgrade. And he becomes more like the company man. He becomes more like a Weyland-Yutani employee. He's going back and forth. He sometimes has these like seizures throughout the film, and he can't control himself. And in any case, it was a brilliant performance. And, going up, when they finally, the whole crew is like, all right, we need to get these cryopods so we can go to this distant independent colony that's not controlled by the company, not controlled by Weyland-Yutani. We need these cryopods because we won't be able to make the nearly decade-long journey without them. So they go up there, and we get some wonderful claustrophobic sequences that feel very much like Alien and Aliens. Great sequences with anti-gravity, both in the beginning of the movie and then later on during the more action-heavy sequences. The way which they use the facehuggers in this film across the board is great. They got like the facehugger room, which is just filled with these kind of 3D printed facehuggers that drop. These motherfuckers are aggressive. They are a bunch of nasty sons of bitches. We see the tube trying to go down people's mouths. Everyone's trying to get face fucked. Are these facehuggers trying to face fuck people? Wonderful what they do with the facehuggers across the films. There's a facehugger chase sequence in the movie where first they're trying to like be very careful and the facehuggers are kind of like sensing them, and of course it all goes wrong. Love what they do. And the xenomorph. The xenomorph is nasty. It's practical effects again. There is CGI for some of the creatures, but it's blended very well for the most part. And it's great to see the xenomorph in its full glory. They added another interesting thing to its evolution. In between a chest burster to xenomorph, and after it sheds its skin, it becomes a massive wall vagina. And I'm not joking about that. I'm not exaggerating, chat. Literally, it's like H.R. Giger said, okay, this is great, but can we put like more vagina in it? And they did. It at one point after it bursts out of the one pilot of the ship that goes up there, after it sheds its skin, it goes up to this wall and just becomes a massive vagina. And eventually it's born after this one guy kind of fucks with it. It gets skewered and melted and acid on his face and all through his body. All the deaths in this movie, for the most part, are pretty goddamn good. And so I like the new... This was a positive element added to the mythology. Wall vaginas. Who knew, chat? But it worked. It worked very, very well. And there's other great little sequences and moments in the movie, too, especially in the first half, but even in the back half. But the back half is where this movie, in my opinion, starts to mess up. It starts to mess up. And really, I think one of you guys said it when I was doing my review for the movie on Friday. And to me, it almost felt like Fede Alvarez is like, you know what? This film is looking really good. And Ridley Scott walled in and was like, hold my black goo. And I'm like, oh no, because that's what happens, chat. That's what happens. Ridley Scott comes in and he just splooges, he just squirts his black Prometheus goo over everyone. And it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It all really starts to kind of start to fall apart with the introduction of a CGI character. And this character is introduced as an android called Rook, which I'm not against, like, new characters, like, introduced to the Alien franchise. I think that's actually great. We got that with Andy. The problem with Rook is it's Ian Holm. They recreate Ian Holm with CGI. They have an actor that plays him, that emulates his voice, but they put Ian Holm's CGI face on top of his head, and it looks awful. I couldn't, and it stands out compared to everything else in the movie, because everything else, for the most part, in the movie looks really good. It's all the practical effects, even the miniatures, even the blending of CGI. It's like, this fits. Everything fits. And as soon as that happens, like, what are you doing? It comes out of nowhere, and it's so distracting. And this is my common complaint. This is it throughout the movie. Everything can be fixed with the script. Like, all my issues can be fixed on the page. You could have just made this a new android. Just call him Rook, and he just looks different, and he's battle damaged. But I was like, why would you bring back a CGI version of Ian Holm? It doesn't make any sense. And apparently, chat, it wasn't even Fede Alvarez's idea. Ridley Scott wanted this. And believe me, we'll get to Ridley Scott and more of his decisions in this movie. But I'll tell you this right now. Ridley Scott is the George Lucas of the Alien franchise. He brilliantly directed the original movie, and he has included bullshit. He has included slop and just awful contributions to this franchise ever since. And it starts with right here. He was the one that insisted that they include Ian Holmes' Ash, now named Rook. It's the same model in this movie. And it's so incredibly distracting. And it's like, I love Ian Holmes' performance as Ash. He's great. We recently did a watch party for the movie. And I loved seeing him in the film, but not like this. Not like this at all. And of course, when he pops up, he's saying all of his dialogue from the original movie, talking about I admire its purity, it's not plagued by, a sense of morality, I can't lie about your chances, but you have my sympathies. It's like, why are you saying all these things? Why are you doing it? It's not necessary. You could have just included a new android character. Completely. It would have been cool. He's the nefarious one. He's the one that's pulling the strings. He's the one that's manipulating Andy the whole time with his programming. And it would have been great. But no, we got to make a distracting CGI monstrosity that that is way too small for its head. And he's got to just regurgitate and vomit up all the same dialogue that Ian Holmes said in Alien 1979. I don't understand it. Didn't understand. But we're not done. We're not done. Ridley Scott's not done taking a giant fucking steaming goopy dump on the rest of this movie, chat. Because after that, and again, even after that sequence, we get some really cool sequences with these characters and moments and crazy alien stuff. It's great. But I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, don't tell me that's it. Please don't do this. They connect this film to Prometheus, which in my opinion is one of the dumbest movies in the Alien franchise, which is saying something. They introduced the black goo. The black goo is back, and Rook Ash. It's fucking Ash. I don't care. Ash explains, yep, that's the black goo from Prometheus, that movie. And it was the thing that Peter Whalen wanted. And we hear they mentioned the Prometheus mission. They mention Wayland from that, fucking weird old man makeup, Guy Pearce. They play the music and stuff. He's like, yep, we got this black goo, and we want to inject people with it because the black goo will make humans strong. It also turn them into fucking abominations. Okay? And as soon as the black goo is introduced, I'm like, the movie's about, it's already dumb. It's already like, okay, you talking about the Prometheus movie, you mentioning black goo, which demystifies the idea of the aliens and what they are. Again, we talked about this earlier, the Acolyte, it's like, and just the Jedi. Like, when you start talking about like midichlorians and you explain the Force, it gets really stupid. It's the same here, where it's like, so everything with aliens and the alien queen and everything, like they all came from dumb black goo. That's where this started. It's like, well, that's silly. And that's what it is. It's silly. It gets really stupid. And so, yeah, the idea is for this ship, they capture the original xenomorph from the first movie. You actually see it. It's all harpoon. It's like, and shit, it's dead. It's what caused the chaos in the station initially. And they 3D printed all this bullshit, and they extracted black goo, and they want to make humans better, and they test, and it just makes everything an abomination and a monster. That's what happens. And it sets up something that's very silly and very frustrating later on with Isabella Merced's character. I'll get to her in just a bit. But then after that sequence, we get some more action, some great action scenes, some really cool anti-gravity action. There's this one sequence where Rain's character has to shoot the aliens that are all coming at her because they end up in a hive. But it's anti-gravity, so the acid blood's floating in the air. And they got to go in that direction. So it's like, oh shit, they got to like avoid it's very clever. It's a very well done sequence. And so at one point, like she's like, oh shit, she's going to get like a face full, there's a body full of acid. So she has to shoot up and that causes her to go down and she has to avoid it. It's very well done. But it all leads to a sequence where they're in an elevator shaft at one point and an alien is about to kill Rain. There's a sequence that's kind of confuses me. I forgot to bring this up in my review, but there's a sequence where, okay, there's like an anti-gravity situation where they're going up this elevator shaft, and Andy is holding on this thing, but the anti-gravity is about to purge itself, right? And so Rain doesn't make it in time. She's not able to grab Andy's hand, and she starts falling. And then then this xenomorph out of nowhere, this alien just saves her. She's like, don't worry, honey, I got you. I was like, why would you do that? And like the only thing I could think of is like, well, that's, you know, I want you to get face fucked by a face hugger. That's the only thing. But this thing like went out of its way to save her ass, and was very confusing. And this is like after she like slaughtered all the xenomorphs. So if I was a xenomorph, I'd be like, fuck you, bitch, I'm gonna let you fall. He just saves her. So that was, but, if you explain that, it's like, okay, well, I wanted a face hugger. Okay, I'll let that go. I'll let that go for now. But this thing's about to kill her afterwards, or because the elevator comes down, it kills a bunch of other xenomorphs. And he's like, hey, my friends. It's very mad at her. And it's like, you know what, fuck you. I wish I didn't save you. And then Andy comes in with this pulse rifle. He shoots the hell out of it and lands on top of it and just shoots it to death. And he goes... and I couldn't believe that they included this line, chat, where he's on top of the goddamn thing. He says, get away from her, pregnant pause, and looking right at the camera, you bitch. And I'm just like, no, it's so bad. They had to do it, and it landed with a thud. The entire line. It's like, please, yeah, I had my head in my hands going, ugh. I groaned. It was so unnecessary. You didn't need that at all. And the thing is, you could have created your own iconic line in the movie. Like something new. Like, Rain and Andy constantly talk about their relationship in terms like, we got to do what's best, you know, like for Rain. And I think that would have been kind of cool if he did like his own version of that line. Just like, you know, or just say, I'm here to protect you. Just something. Not just repeat a line from another movie that is more meaningful because it's, you know, it's a fucking story about mothers and everything, and it's earned. And it's like all the callback lines in this movie. It does not work, and it's very, very frustrating. Or yeah, don't touch my. It could have been so many different things. Don't touch me. Like they really say like that's not bad, Mr. Ayers. That's actually a good line. Just like don't touch my sister, you know, because that is his sister at that point. You know, it doesn't matter that she's human, he's an android or whatever, and synthetic person. He's like they're family, and it's like fuck yeah, but nope, they gotta do the get away from her, you bitch. Ugh. That's not all. So it's like all right. Even at that point, I was like, okay, I don't like the CGI Ash. I don't like Prometheus connection or the black goo. And I don't like that some of the dialogue they've reused. But I was like, you know what? Still, this is pretty goddamn good for the most part. It definitely has its flaws. But I think the third act just gets goofy as fuck. And it's all because of Ridley Scott. It's all because of him. And his goddamn black goo. He's gooing us all up, chat. So... they manufacture the black goo from the aliens because they want to improve humans. And so they establish that Isabel Merced, who gets fucked up by the alien a little bit, she's dying maybe. Although they say, like, they find her cocoon in the hive. She's not impregnated. Well, she actually is pregnant with like a regular human baby. But at one point they're thinking like, oh, she's probably going to die. She's not. But even Andy says she won't die if we get her to the shuttle on time. But he also mentions before that, well, if she takes the black goo, she'll be able to save herself. But they're like, we don't want, but even the other characters are like, we don't want to inject her with black goo. And he's like, all right, well, if we get to the shuttle quickly, she won't die. Okay, that's good. We can avoid black goo. For whatever reason, whatever compelled her, when she's in the elevator heading to the ship, like she's going to get there before anyone else does, she decides in her infinite fucking wisdom to inject herself with black goo, which I'm like, I don't know that I would have done that. And what happens is she's like, I feel better. The problem is it starts to mutate her a little bit, but all of it is directed towards her unborn child, her little fetus. And at one point when the movie seemingly is ending and, you know, Andy's going to shut down for the long journey, And Kaylee Spaney's Rain character, she loads Isabella Merced into the cryo tube, and she's about to get into herself. But then, Isabella Merced's cryo tube is malfunctioning. It's like, and she opens the tube up, and Isabella Merced's like super preggo. She's preggers, she's like 9 months, and she's like, and she gives birth to like a giant alien egg. She just, and like comes right out. It's very goopy, very bloody, slips right out of her. She's also like squirting, black goo, titty milk. It's all coming out of her boobs. This thing is acidic, and it falls through the floor, and the egg hatches, and it's like it looks like a regular human baby. It's like doing baby noises, and then Rain goes down into the cargo hold to find this thing, and like she's looking for it, but she can't find it, and eventually Andy goes to check on everything. And Kaylee Spaney's like, she's squirting, black goo, boob milk. He's like, my boobs. And then they turn around and they see the creature. It's the newborn. It's basically a new version of the newborn from Alien Resurrection. And this thing looks goofy as fuck. It's so ridiculous because the majority of the time it's CGI. It's a combination of an engineer from Prometheus and a xenomorph. Like, it has the kind of like the head and the chest and everything of an engineer, but then it's like its legs and its arms and its back and it has a tail like an alien. And this thing is so goofy. It constantly goes like that, but it's the third act of Alien Resurrection. And that's why it's so weird that this movie is both the greatest hits of the Alien franchise, but it's also the worst hits of the Alien franchise. And I think this is even worse than the Alien Resurrection newborn baby, because it's like a goofy CGI creature. And so it ends up killing Isabella Merced. I guess it rips her head off. I was kind of confused. It was like trying to suck up. It was like, give me my black goo titty milk, mom. She's like, no. And then he's like, all right, well, I think he kills her and he starts sucking out the black goo titty milk. And it fucks up Andy a little bit. He's alive. Don't worry, he survives. But it fucks up his neck. And so then Isabella Merced has to battle this goofy fucking thing for the rest of the movie, and it dies in pretty much the similar way to the newborn too, where it gets sucked out of the ship, and they do like one last like really shitty looking CGI scare. Like the CGI in this thing is awful. It's like, oh god. And then eventually, they get caught up in the rings of this planet that they're on, the Jackson Star Colony, and it gets it's like squished. And then they just load up into the cryopods, and she does like nearly a verbatim recording that Ripley did at the end of Aliens. Like, this is, Alan Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off. She basically does her same version of that, just changing a couple of words. And then the movie ends, and I'm just like, God damn it. And the first half of this movie is so good. I loved it for its aesthetic. I liked the two main leads a lot, what they were doing. Andy, David Johnson is great. They make the xenomorph scary again. The facehuggers are terrifying. They add to the life cycle of the alien in a really cool way with the wall vagina. It's like, wow, this is really neat. But then it just starts to indulge in these unnecessary fan service moments that are distracting, like CGI Ash, and then Prometheus, and then the ending with the newborn. And Ridley Scott is the one that you can feel his presence in this movie, especially for at first I thought it was like, oh, why did, of course Fede Alvarez did this because he's a fanboy and he can't help himself. But that was Ridley Scott's decision. The Prometheus stuff, that's Ridley Scott's decision. I can't speak for the newborn, but the black goo led to that. It led to that ridiculous third act. And that's why I say that Ridley Scott, he is very much the George Lucas of the Alien franchise. Started off brilliantly, but every single contribution that he's made has taken away from this series. He actively makes it worse. He makes it stupid. And so I'm at a point with him as a filmmaker, as a producer, just kind of fuck off. Just retire. Don't make movies anymore because you're kind of embarrassing yourself. It's honestly, it's just kind of sad. Because you're just tainting your legacy, and you played a hand in the movie that would start off really good, and you actively made it worse. And I think the only reason why Fede Alvarez probably made these decisions is because, well, one, I think Ridley Scott was a very active producer in this movie, and he probably has some respect for Ridley Scott, but it made a worse film. And it's frustrating because I'm very mixed on this film. Is it the third best Alien movie in the franchise? Yeah. I guess so. You know? But it just has these moments, these baffling decisions that don't add anything to the series in a positive way. It takes away from it. And I think Ridley Scott he's to blame for a lot of the bad things that are in this movie. That's why it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. What about you guys? What do you think of some of these sequences? I know I went off there. I had a lot to say. I had a lot to say about this. Oh, man. So you just want that black goo yourself. You know what? I'll take all that black goo. I'll take it all so then the Alien franchise can be free of it. I'll sacrifice myself. You know what would have been cool? You know what would have been cool with the black goo? Would have been a better third act if the black goo turned Isabella Merced into an alien queen. But apparently, I learned this recently, Ridley Scott hates Aliens. He hates that movie. And he hates the what Cameron introduced to the alien physiology and how they breed. He didn't like that. And so that's why you've noticed there's no alien, you don't see an alien, no alien queen in this movie. And how they reproduce is kind of a little different. Boof the black goo, Chris. I'll boof it so no other character in this franchise can indulge in the boof and the black goo. I'll sacrifice myself. I think it would have been awesome if she turned into an alien queen. She was like Abomination. That when she just started popping out like xenomorphs. I think that would have been really fucking, it would have been horrifying. It would have been really gross. It would have made an excellent practical effect. You know what she could have looked like? I think it would have been really cool if she was a combination of the alien queen. It should have been more Cronenberg. I would have thrown in a little bit of The Fly into this movie. David Cronenberg's The Fly, make her a combination between Jeff Goldblum's The Fly and the Alien Queen and James Gunn's Slither. You know how Michael Rooker looks at the end of the movie, just being that grotesque flesh monster with the tendrils? If she looked like that at the end, that would have been fucking horrifying, and I think that would have been awesome. It would have been so cool. But no. Because Ridley Scott said, I don't like the alien queen, and I want Prometheus. He's just never gotten over the fact that movie is you have people that like it. I'm not one of them. But it's a very divisive movie. It's a very divisive movie. And I think that is always stuck in his craw, and he was never able to finish the story he wanted to finish because Alien Covenant bombed. And he is retroactively trying to make people like it. And I'm like, Ridley, baby, it ain't working. And you had a hand in making this movie worse, which was going pretty well. And so that really, really bothers me. It really bothers me. Because every problem that I have with this film can be fixed on the page. And it also goes back to the fact I don't think that more now than ever, I totally agree that Fede Alvarez is an excellent visual filmmaker. There's no doubt. Technical directing, brilliant. But he's a bad writer, and he's a bad storyteller. And after this movie, I'm like, all right, I feel confident saying that more than ever now. And I think he got bullied. I think he got bullied on making this movie, or at least he has so much respect for Ridley Scott that he went, yeah, sure, Ridley, no, yeah, we can. Let's get Ian Holm. Let's get a CGI Ian Holm in here. Let's get Prometheus. Yeah, no, we'll put Prometheus stuff in here. It's like, if you just make the Ash android a new android, so good, and not have him say the same dialogue. Don't do that. I think you could have had a really cool villainous android. You could have the good android character of Andy. You could have the evil android character of Rook. Strip out all the Prometheus stuff. Maybe they were experimenting on the aliens, weaponizing them. I think that's a cool concept. I think that's cool. And maybe Isabel Merced gets exposed to one of the experiments, or she gets face fucked by an experimental face hugger or something, but it changes her physiology so much that it makes her basically an alien queen, an abomination. And then she starts giving birth to these just these xenomorphs or something, or these horrific, grotesque, hybrid things, but don't look like shitty CGI, and they got a spacer, like all this can be, and like take out all the dialogue that's referencing the previous movies. Then I could confidently say, this is the best alien movie since Aliens. And I say that it's the best alien movie since Aliens. But, so, that's what I could have done. Let me see what you guys are saying. Oh, Lord, poof that black goo. Even the nonsense that was the last 15 minutes of the movie was overall a damn good watch. The movie is 2 hours long, 15 minutes of nonsense, but overall a good movie, says Malcolm. I know, yeah, a lot of people are liking it. I get it. So I have a news come is what makes the aliens. Yep, I have news come. Yeah, pretty much. Yep. No James Cameron xenomorph. Well, apparently not. I was just like, okay. I think what he had was pretty good. Believe me, I have my problems with Cameron as a filmmaker, but I mean, Aliens is great. Him hating aliens explains a lot. It really does. It's just like, oh, okay. I've been getting TikToks that are going over the lore of Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I hate it. It doesn't make any sense. It takes away from the franchise. I thought old girl was gonna give birth to a queen. Yeah, that would have been cool. You know what? I'll take that. It turns into an alien queen. Like, okay, here we go. I would have taken that. It would have at least salvaged the third act. It's like, all right, I gotta deal with black goo I have to deal with a Prometheus connection. I don't like this. But if she gave birth to an alien queen, I'd be like, okay. I'd be okay with that. Ew. Scott doesn't hate aliens. He said he wasn't happy about the initial idea, but after watching the movie, he thought it was excellent. But like I don't get that. I don't get that impression from him. And why is he insistent on never using the alien queen again? That's the one thing. I don't believe him. I love the gross ideas. This is super goopy. I just like Victor Miller doing everything in his power to get rid of Jason Voorhees. Even if this guy doesn't hate aliens, I'm sure he's more prone to use his own. Yeah, that's the thing. Even if he doesn't even hate the movie, he is definitely more prone to use his ideas from Prometheus and Alien Covenant than he is from anything from James Cameron's Aliens. And that's an issue. That's a problem. That's a problem. And it led to it, I think, a dumber movie, sadly. Then Cameron said, yeah, sounds like a species plot. Yeah, no, it is. It's like what happens at the end. Yeah, kind of similar to Species. You can make comparisons. But yeah, it's, yeah, I'm mixed on this movie. There's so much I love about it. There's so much I really enjoy and like about it and praise it for. And there's some great characters. It contributes some nice stuff to the Alien franchise. But it has like one foot into the future, but it has like another foot in the past, and all the stuff in the past like takes away from it. And not like, I don't mind them mentioning that, like, the movie opens with the Nostromo, like parts of it, which I thought the ship was vaporized, but I was like, all right, whatever. I was like, okay, I'll let that go. But it's like, and they reference, the crew of the Nostromo, and they show their images on the screen, similar to, in a way, like in Aliens, right? When they talk about the Nostromo and how it was, destroyed. That's fine. But then when you just start repeating lines from the original movies, and you bring in, like, a character from the first film, and it's obviously not Ian Holm. It's just like, what's going on here? And so it's frustrating. As much as Resurrection sucked, they at least established a connection to the newborn Ripley and how she betrayed in the end, which was kind of crushing to see. Felt nothing with this new black goo baby killing the mother, making it fall. Yeah, everything falls flat. It is kind of doing the same thing. She's like, oh God. And then he's like, oh, you don't like me? Well, fuck you, Mom. Fuck you, Mom. And then I guess he rips her head off. I don't know. We don't see it, but it's implied that she's dead. Spaney's come a long way from being the annoying twerp from Pacific Rim 2. She was an annoying twerp in Civil War. But she was good in this. I have not seen her, Priscilla, which everyone says she was great, which I believe that. I'll believe it. I haven't seen the movie. I did not like her performance in Civil War. I found her, not her fault. I just found her character poorly written. And I thought she was poorly directed. But she's good here. She's good. She's my second favorite character in the movie. But David Johnson steals the show. This movie is more than what I expected First Omen to be. And instead, it is flop. First Omen largely did... Yeah, First Omen, for the most part, you're right, did its own thing. I think First Omen's a better movie than Alien Romulus. And now the newborn in Romulus pretty much did what the engineer did to Dave and Prometheus to Andy in this. Wow, yeah, you're right. Now they're another unnecessary callback. Good point. Climax got kind of sloppy. I don't even know how they killed the newborn. It got sucked out of the ship, and then it got squished by the ring, right? On the planet. Got squished, I think. I don't know. Came back for one last scare, though, went, and then it died. Should take more inspiration from all the comics, games, and toys. Need more. Yeah, I mean, do that. Do that. I mean, yeah, if you want to, like, incorporate some old stuff that maybe I might not know about, or, like, you know, even fans of the franchise might know. Yeah, dude, bring some of the comic stuff in. I'm okay with that. Go with that. It's going to be a Knives Out 3 and Beef Season 2. Hope she's good. Remember the guy playing Andy's on that industry show that I know nothing about, but it's in third season right now. He's great. Remember that jump scare? That jump scare was so terrible. There's not too many jump scares in this movie. There was like only, I want to say there was only like one. Oh, no. There is one gratuitous. That was the most gratuitous. I didn't even jump. As soon as it happened, I was like, Because I was already kind of like not happy with the ending. And so I had no reaction to when it jumped up. There's a jump scare where they're going to the second face hugger room. There's a dead guy hanging up on like he hanged himself or something. And it's so unnecessary. It's like, and the music gets really loud. It's like, what? That was a goofy jump scare. That was unnecessary. I appreciate that there was at least a faked out dream sequence. Those have been making a comeback. Oh, there wasn't a fake out dream sequence. Those have been making a comeback lately. Yeah, you're right. I appreciate that. I saw many people were munching on popcorn opening snacks during the quiet deep space moments, and immediately, because it's right in the beginning. So the movie has a brilliant opening. And already I was like, oh, fuck yeah, this is a great opening. So the opening of the movie is like, we're immediately in space. It is so goddamn quiet. Like, the score is very much inspired by Jerry Goldsmith's original score from Aliens, which is one of my favorite scores ever. And it's very fucking quiet. It's super quiet for the most part. And I just hear someone like struggling to open up like a bag of chips. And I'm just like, ugh. But it was fine. I didn't get mad. I was like, all right, whatever. But it's because the opening of the movie is super quiet. And you see, it's cool. It's brilliant. They use a combination of CGI and miniatures in the movie, and it looks great. Like, one thing I will say about this movie, it's going to age extraordinarily well over time. It's going to age very well, except the CGI ending with the newborn. That thing is not going to age. They already look shitty to begin with. I was like, this ain't going to age well. It's gonna look awful. I think it already looks really bad. But like a year and a half from now, it's gonna be the worst. The worst. But the opening of the movie is brilliant, and they find like the xenomorph, which had it had surrounded itself in resin and to preserve its, because it's the original xenomorph from the first movie. It's still alive, but it went into some sort of catatonic state to still live. And like Weyland-Yutani goes out and gets it, and they start experimenting on it on the Romulus space station. And that's when it breaks loose and it kills. We see its dead body. But it's what causes all the initial destruction before our crew gets there. And it's dead. Like, they managed to kill it, but it fucked up the whole station. Wherever I'm going to be in your position when Gladiator 2 rolls around. I have no excitement for Gladiator 2 more than ever. I was just like, why are you doing this? Yeah, I can't wait to hear Kanye West rapping in Gladiator 2. Oh, yeah. I can't wait for them to do all the callbacks to all the original dialogue from the first movie. Ridley Scott has no business making films anymore. He needs to retire. He's just tainting his legacy of everything he makes. I'm just like, dude, just fucking stop. Anyway. Yeah, chat. So this first half is a very good movie. It's a great movie. And then that back half, not that it doesn't have good moments, but it makes some big noticeable mistakes. That's my spoiler review. And thank you for sharing your perspectives on this too. Which is not going to be in the movie. You say it's not going to be in the movie, but we don't know that for a fact. Bad boy, if you're interested in seeing more David Johnson, he's going to be in a Holocaust movie, a dramatization about the German pastor who rebelled against Hitler and his Nazis. Damn. Are you not entertained? We'll definitely. Oh, 100%. That they're gonna have a like, and they're gonna be like, "Are you not?" And they're gonna do just like they did in the Aliens movie. Are you not entertained? They'll be like, "No, Ridley, I'm not." No, Mr. Scott, I don't want the black goo. Can we just, and again, like everything in the black goo is stupid. It's stupid. And as soon as it's introduced, I was like, this is going to get dumb. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. When you demystified your original creation or the creation you had a hand in creating. Ah, God. It's so frustrating. Yeah. Prometheus fucking sucks. Prometheus and Alien Covenant stuff. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to do my definitive Alien ranking this week. I'm going to do it. But other than AVP Requiem, which is the worst of either the Alien franchise or the Predator franchise, that is dead last. That is kept in the fucking dungeon, where it belongs. But after Alien vs. Predator Requiem, right beside it, they're like just one level above AVP Requiem is Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Those I will fucking watch. I'll watch Alien 3, Resurrection, AVP. Those are better movies than Prometheus and Covenant. Not saying they're great movies. They may have good moments, but as like final products, they are not good. But I think they're infinitely better than Prometheus and Covenant, because Prometheus and Covenant just they demystified those original two movies. They took away from those original two movies. And that's why I say this again. Ridley Scott's the George Lucas of the Alien franchise. You started off so good, brilliantly directed that first film, and everything you've contributed since then has taken away from it. And my fear is, because they're going to make another one. This movie is a success commercially and for the most part critically. Although there is some divisiveness over the things I brought up. I'm not alone. But my fear is that Ridley Scott's going to worm his way. He's going to worm in more Prometheus and Covenant stuff. And I'm very concerned about that. Maybe they won't. I don't know. Maybe they won't. Maybe because there is backlash and people don't like these scenes. At least a lot of people don't like them. But I think he's going to try to do it anyway. We'll see. Alien Romulus review. Yay!